Exactly.
I will tell you something though. Spotify, I think, does it better than others. Only because what they'll do is, because again, I listen to a lot of indie artists. They may refer one or two major artists, but they have introduced me to a lot of indie artists in genres that I don't know. So I'm really appreciative of their algorithm. There are a lot of places that are like, well, if you like this, then you'll love the latest single by, I don't know, Taylor Swift. No, I actually would not. But I mean, thank you for your suggestion.
Right. And so here's where I think we differ in this one way in which we differ in this conversation.
One of many ways to our listeners. One of many ways.
Many ways.
Because I am far from basic, just a FYQ.
Please don't make me come for you.
Ask me what the Q is on Twitter.
Okay. Let me finish. You keep derailing me. Shoot. You made me forget what I was going to say, Tomo.
Because it wasn't important anyway.
That's so important. Shoot. Anyway. So here's the thing. I can't even remember. I'm not going to go down that tangent you tried to take me on. I want to come back here for a second. Let's be clear though. Just because I want to, let's say I want to be the most basic of basic.
Okay.
In my entertainment. I'm going to only listen to top 50. I will only listen to mainstream radio. I only watch shows that come out of major networks, et cetera, et cetera. I only go to the most popular movies playing. I do that. That's my choice. What Absolutely. I'm saying is I shouldn't have to be complicit to compromising my morality in my choice to consume media in that way. That shouldn't be the only choice that I'm left to make. Either I support or I don't support this artist. Because again, I go back to this idea that that's not the only, not even only, that is a false presentation of justice. And at the end of the day, if we really are going to talk about changing systems, if we really want to talk about social justice and equity, somebody not getting a check doesn't change the system. It doesn't change the structure. And we have to have more conversations. So for instance, let me tell you, one of the ones that have come out recently that I've struggled with is Nas and Khalees's statements about him being physically abusive towards her throughout their marriage. And that hurt my heart. I was like, when I read it, I was like, please don't take my Nas away from me, because like the old school hip hop head that lives in me, like, my gosh, I will bump some Illmatic today. And I was like, does this mean that like I have to have a sense of moral discomfort every time I want to listen to Illmatic? I can't have that. What is this true? Maybe it's not true. Go through all of that turmoil. And what I'm saying is, if it's true, and if that is what happened, where is the space in our structure, in our conversation, to allow Nas to be accountable for those behaviors, to make amends, and to allow healing to move forward? Because I was actually, and I was like, another example, I was talking to somebody about this, a person that I have lots of intellectual conversations with. And I was like, I said, how come we all so cool with Chris Brown now? And she's like, well, we sent him away for a few years and then he did a little community service. And so we let him come back. It's okay now. He was gone long enough. And I was like, did we really though? Because kind of what he did was really, really bad. And so how are we just okay with that? And I think we are really hypocritical in lots of idiosyncratic ways, individually as well as in different subcultures in the broader community, in terms of the broader culture, about who we let slide and who doesn't. I like this idea of being able to send people away, but only if they are being sent away to get help. Only if they are being sent away out of their own sense of accountability and obligation, and they do the work to make themselves better. And then you can come back.
And so now
we don't have that set up.
Right. And now I'm gonna shift the argument slightly. Why should Chris Brown go away and come back a better person? Why can't he be exactly who he is and make amazing music? Why can't we accept him for who he is and keep it moving? Why do we need our artists to stand and hold standards that most of us ourselves couldn't do if it was the easiest thing in the world to do?
This was my conversation about the person that works at Target. That's the pedophile. And you looked at me all crazy eyed. I made this argument already.
Because that argument was whack. Ago. That was whack.
It was not. Just couldn't keep
You're
up with my
Target.
level.
First of all, I didn't appreciate you telling people where I shop on the weekend. So that's why I didn't want to get into that conversation, because it's no one's business where I get my light spring butters from and summer butters from. A sandwich meat or two, because their deli selects are actually quite nice.
You know what I'm saying? So the other way to say it, as long as we live in a capitalistic society, we all opt in to something.
Right.
We all opt into something. We're all complicit in something. So the question, we can't have this all or none mentality about it.
And that is where I keep coming back to individualism, and you keep saying and all that stuff that you're doing over there, because
if I can get you this mic right now.
Target aside, let's just say Chris Brown beat Rihanna's behind. And I sit up there and I say, well, you know what? I think Rihanna got a slick lip, and she deserved having her little face bunched in, because she looked like the kind of one that would say something slick. And if she spoke slick to me, I would have done it too. Therefore, I have no problem. What we're also saying, if we start penalizing Chris Brown, is we're also saying that we penalize all these people with this mentality. But in order for that to happen en masse, you have to have these people buy into it, and they won't. Because that's not the way
all
they
of your
think.
French en masse. So this is why I'm having the conversation about structures and systems. Because when you change structures and systems, you change people's context.
But here's the thing. There's the analogy I was making before about Donald Trump and President Obama, right? And I said one chose not to enforce the law. The other chose to enforce the law, then write an executive order to change it. I'm trying to say these systems are already in place. All we need to do is use them. There is a court system in place that would have taken Harvey Weinstein out of his position of power decades ago. But the machine and the complacency of the complacency of all the people around him are what kept him there. That's the problem. It's people who buy into that. And in some way, directly or indirectly, consumers are a part of that.
And what I'm saying to you, Tomas, is part of the reason why we buy into it is because we only look at things from a surface level. And by that, I mean, we're only looking at the monetary component of it. What can this person do to produce more money for me, to contribute to my business, my organization, my company? And when that reaches a critical level of threat, because consumers have been outraged, then we want to change the game up. But that doesn't address the underlying issue. That's my point in this whole conversation. It changes not one piece of the structure.
But does the structure need to be changed? My point is, I don't think the structure needs to be changed. It just needs to be utilized.
No. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be utilized, because what I'm saying is I think it's built on some inherently structured, flawed ideals. Because where's the opportunity for learning and growth? Where's the opportunity for healing for folks that have been victimized if we leave it at whether your show gets aired or not? If we leave it at whether you go to jail or not? Absolutely our legal system is messed up.
And so I'm saying this to you. I'm not arguing that point, but I think what you're addressing I'm addressing it in the context of what already exists. What you're talking about is a systemic overhaul that will affect all things, big and small. And I get that. No. You can stay macro level all you want. I'm dealing with micro level concerns. I'm dealing specifically with this issue. And with this issue, I'm saying, and I'll bring it into your macro. So how about that? With this issue, I'm saying, I'm doing you favors. I'm mansplaining and doing you favors. And I'm going to go to Target. And I'm going to go to Target afterwards and do some shopping. Now, I'm going to do all those things. But no, there are already systems in place that could potentially deal with the Bill Cosbys of the world, the Harvey Weinsteins, et cetera, et cetera. However, to your point, if you take a person who's a drug user and put them in jail, which is often the case, that person will become a better drug user, quite honestly.
It depends on the person. It depends on the type of drug they use.
Right. But by and large, what you find is people being criminalized who don't need to be criminalized. Because the reality is, and I guess what my resistance to your argument is, we haven't developed a capacity to deal with this gray outside of criminalizing or civil penalties.
And what I'm also saying to you is even our criminalizing of behavior doesn't lead to rehabilitation.
Oh, no. Well, no, it doesn't. Period. No, there's no argument with you there.
And it doesn't lead to healing. Right. So
all criminalization is warehousing. No, I'm not talking about oh my goodness, where are you getting healing from? Healing with criminalization? No, you throw someone away, you bring them back, and then you still deny them access because they were a felon or because this, that, the other thing. I get that. Like, there's no argument there. I'm saying that the issues that you're addressing don't fall neatly into any of these categories. So if we go by what we have, we already have something in place. If we're unwilling to do that, then we need to take a step back, like you're saying, and look at all of it across the board. Because what I don't want to develop is a standard that applies for someone who makes this amount of money and a standard that applies for someone who makes this amount of money. And that's already what's happening. Again, Lindsay Lohan could not have been
from 20 minutes ago. To be clear, thank you for making my point from 20 minutes ago. Yes, I did. I'm glad that you caught up at the end of the show. I love you though. I do love it. But we are about out of
You
time.
ain't made no point when you asking me if a pedophile was trying to kick it to me in Target. You ain't making no points that I'm trying to understand. I'll tell you that. With your basic self, basic questions. You the reason why we done did a dance for 20 minutes on a podcast. And I'm not even talking about a good tango.
Oh my god! This has been
this is us, people.
Stimulating for real. Man. This has probably been the most authentic conversation we have ever had on a podcast. TBT, and that stands for Truth Be Told, not Throwback Thursday. You know, when I first started seeing hashtag TBT, I was like, why people keep saying Truth Be Told on their old baby pictures?
Thank you for telling me that, because I did not know that meant Throwback Thursday. I thought it meant Truth Be Told. So you can put that in your pedophile from Target analogy next time.
Oh my God.
Because I really did not know that. And also, just quick aside, let me tell you something that I just found out. You know how we're doing the show next week with the LGBT panel, right?
Right.
So when you were talking to me about the weeks, I said, oh, well, let's do it on the third, Friday because, Pride and blah, 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 thinking Pride New York City. I get an invitation this week from a friend of mine with all this flowery language. Come on Saturday, fabulous time, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I was like, why is she being so flowery and so glittery in her invitation? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I know it's Pride Month, but like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Putting all these rainbows in my inbox. how did I find out today? Like a half hour before we went live.